Hi, this is Gloria, your life coach. Welcome to another episode of Life's a Shuffle.
Hi, this is Ron Johnson, your life coach, motivational speaker, health coach, and welcome to another episode of Life's a Shuffle. So today's podcast is going to be about thoughts. How many times can you count a day you think? I'm quite sure most of us think a lot. You can think in the shower, brushing your teeth, dreams you have, driving your car, going to the grocery store. I mean, we have an abundant amount of thoughts a day, sometimes more than others, right? Depending on what's going on in the day or their mind or even stressors. But one thing people don't realize, and the thought is this: you give power to what you're thinking. So let me say it again. You give power to what you're thinking. Your thoughts come from a subconscious belief. And a subconscious belief can be a fear of I may not have enough money, a fear of I'm gonna lose my job. It can be guilt. And those thoughts play in your head. Now, let me tell you this: the mind doesn't feel the mind. And what I mean by that is that you know you are thinking about something even though you're not saying it. It's the subconscious that's thinking these thoughts. And what's driving the subconscious is what's driving the consciousness is a subconscious belief that we have behind something. If that subconscious belief is driving our thoughts, we have the ability to change our thoughts. See, our thoughts can do two things. If it's a thought of something negative, whatever it is, you feel upset. If it's thought of something positive, you feel good. Okay. So thoughts can do one or two things. It can give you a lot of energy or give you negative energy depending on what's going through your head. Things that go through your head also dictates how you feel. It's been proven that if you have a negative thought in your mind, your body loses weakness. Now, those out there that have been to a gym and they came from a hard work day and they're stressed, they can't barely work out. So most people don't go, or some people say, I'm gonna go out there and blow out steam, but you don't have a good workout. If you come to the gym with less stress and less thoughts in your mind, you have a good workout because you can focus on one thing. It's like having an experience where your body is present, but your mind is somewhere else. That's what people would say. But it's really a consciousness that's somewhere else. So one thing I've realized just recently is that, one of my biggest um, subconscious belief is inside me, I have a personal theme when it comes to fear. My fear is lack, and lack of is financial stability. Right? Give myself an example. And what I realize is that fear doesn't feel anything. Fear is just fear. Okay. And what I mean by fear doesn't feel anything means it doesn't have a subconscious mind. Okay. By me thinking thoughts, I will create fear. So I'm creating fear out of the fact I'm thinking about something that doesn't make me feel good or my belief or what I value. So if you value financial stability, which I don't know who doesn't, you bring those fears of not having that financial ability. So you create the thought behind the fear. Fear itself does not have any thought at all. It doesn't feel anything, but some thoughts. Now, since you figured out the fact that it creates these thoughts, now you say to yourself, okay, what's behind the curtain, right? What's this conscious or subconscious that's going in my mind is obviously I don't want not to have financial stability. So I start creating these fear thoughts, right? So it's like going to the dentist. Those people have been to the dentist don't like going to the dentist. I never met one person says, I love going to my dentist. Most people say to themselves, I hate going to the dentist. It's not the dentist, it's the fear of the pain.
They're dreading it.
Right. So you think about it. It's not the dentist, it's the fear of pain. So we hold the fear of pain in our mind, which creates that dread of going to the dentist. Just as an example. So when I figured out I was creating these fear thoughts, what's behind the fear? The lack of not having have enough money, and that creates scarcity. But when I start digging deeper, I talked about this before in a podcast. I think my last podcast, I haven't posted yet, but I talked about the innocence inside. And the innocence inside means, when I was able to finally buy what I wanted to. Let's say when I was growing up as a kid, my dad did not want to buy Michael Jordan shoes. I mean, right now they're extremely expensive. Or Air Force Ones or any shoes that were considered popular. Kids had shoes, right? So now when I was able to get a job at 16, 17, buy those, I created the desire to have it. So that created a desire to have these wants. Now if I don't have financial stability, I can't create desire for my wants. See, that's what the fear is, not being able to do what I want to do, is creating the fear of lack. See how now you start creating all these, I call it also my totem pole. You have the bottom, the mid, and so forth and so on. And that's how my thoughts are going through things. But obviously I figured that out just recently. So it's gonna take more time to really dig deep and figure it out. But I'm trying to help you guys out there, because this is what happens is we create a lot of things around uh, terms like doubt, fear, confidence, scarcity. We create those things in our mind and it means something to us. So, okay, you got to dig deep. What does it mean to you? So, give me an example, Gloria, of things in your life that maybe you have something, label something in your life.
You know what? It would be the goals that I've had set for my life as I've gotten older, things that I wanted to do, um, things that, or just what I wanted to be. Um, when I was younger, as I've gotten older, I remember I wanted to. Oh, when I was doing karate, I was in karate, right? And I was in karate for a long time. And I remember I said, well, I'd like to be one day be like my instructor and be able to open up his own studio and teach all these kids. And just as far as disciplining them, and it's really good. So I've set that goal because I wanted to do that. But as I've gotten older, the thought of I don't think I'll be able to. It's going to cost a lot of money. It's where am I going to get that? Um, and also when you said fear, there was also some fear there. So I've created all that in my head. Whereas now when I think about it, if had I not thought of those and actually let that control me, maybe I would have been able to. I don't know. So I stopped. Um, but then again, I moved on to something different, right? And then now when I said, okay, I didn't think I was going to be a teacher because I didn't think I could do it. I remember saying, no, I can't do this. It's not me. I don't know. I just don't have the ability to. But then when I changed that thought and I turned it around and says, well, maybe I should give it a try. I don't know. You'll never know. Who knows? And I did. And I loved it. And that's where I'm at now. And then even becoming like a life coach. For a moment, I said, I don't think I could do it. I don't know. I want to, but I'm not sure if I can. And again, part of it would be the thought of, I don't know if I can afford it. So those are just a few things of that I could think of where a lot of it had to do with, the fear and the thought of, I'm not sure if I can, or maybe I'm not good enough to do it. But, thinking about this is your thoughts create your feelings. And that's what had happened. And that's what happened to you. And that's what happened to me. That's what happened to all of us. Um, how we think sometimes it interprets what happens to you and influences your feelings. So, meaning the meaning that you give to the events or the experiences shapes your thoughts and your mood, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
I guess I would say it's not what happens to you, it's how you react. And I think what I've done is how I reacted to it because my thought was saying that you can't do it or you can't afford it. It's too much work. I reacted to it. I can't afford to open up my own karate studio. I can't do that. How am I going to do this? I still need to master karate before I could do it. It's too much work. I can't do it. I still have school and I was still playing volleyball.
You know, it's funny. So you said fear, right? Let's talk about that again, because
Hmm.
there's probably a lot of fear happening. Everybody has fear, okay? And everybody has different levels of fear. So let's get that straight. And just because you have one fear does not mean someone else does not experience it at the same time. So, to dig deep, when your conscious being had the fear of lack of having, let's say, open up your own studio, what happened? You had a fear. And that fear that you held in mind, your consciousness, was thus projected onto outer world. Oh, you can't have it. It's too expensive. You can't have it because we're going to find one. You can't have it because you don't have enough people. It's going to be too expensive. So all what happens, those thoughts start validating exactly what your conscious mind held in mind. You were projecting it. And that's the lie right there, right? We got transcendent fear to something else. When we start fearing our doubt, our self confidence, trust me, something will show up. Something will show up to validate that. Someone said something, you read something, whatever it may be, it will validate what you already held in your conscious being. So while you held that fear of not opening your dojo or those things, it start projecting. But what's amazing though is that you said one thing here. When you went to become a life coach, you said it's too expensive, not for sure I can do it. You did something that this is how you transcend fear. You challenge that. So right now, your fear was, I can't afford life coaching, it's too expensive. That fear showed up. It validated what Jerry held in mind. You say to yourself, well, I'm not for sure. Let me challenge that. When you challenge that, on the other side was much more than the fear held in mind. So that fear I can't afford it, that fear of this, was that actually real? Did it actually happen? I'm asking you.
The fear?
Yeah, the fear of not being able to afford to become a life coach. Did that happen?
No.
What happened?
It was actually it's more than what I thought. It was better than I thought. It was it was worth it.
See, when we transcend fear into action, our challenge, those things we held in mind that come up, and we say, wait a minute, why was that such a fear? Why did it come up?
Yep.
You
And that's just
challenged
like
it and it broke down the walls. The walls were just invisible there.
you just have to put that guard up, and just take that chance. Um and that's exactly what I also did with now, teaching physical education at a school. And like I said, it was never ever in my thought I have ever thought of, just being a teacher. I love kids, but I know I can't. At some point, I said I can't do that. I don't think I have that control or just the ability of just having like 30 kids, 50, 70 kids, just having them listen to you and just following you, follow instructions. And I just thought, oh my God, that'd be too much for me. It'll overwhelm me. I mean, I was already when I was recruiting, it was just one on one, you know. But that took months, and after that, like you said, it was a challenge for me. And I think I took that challenge and said, well, wait a minute, why don't I give it a try and see how it would be like? And if I like it and if it's for me, then sure. If it's not, then, I can always back off, right? But I ended up loving it and I liked it. And again, it was one of those where it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. So just remember what created the thoughts that created my feelings of I can't do this. It's not me. Because my head was telling me something else. And again, there was that fear.
I'm going to challenge you on two things. The mind can't feel itself. So you just said right now, my thoughts. Your thoughts are not, so the mind can't feel itself. Your arm can't feel itself. Your body cannot feel itself. Now, if you touch something that's hot, you feel a sensation which transcends into the mind. So the mind thus feel the body, but the consciousness is the mind. So how you said those fears and doubts come in your mind, think about this a little deeper. Let's talk about the innocence. Let's talk about Gloria at 5 years old. What was Gloria told her whole life? Let's challenge your belief system.
Huh. My whole life starting at 5.
Yeah, so I'm back to five. Your innocence.
That's crazy because you know what? I now that I'm thinking about it. Of course, when I was younger, I didn't think. I was just doing whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just probably just following my instincts or maybe just doing things without even thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care. Had no fear,
Mm-hmm.
had no doubts.
Okay.
If I wanted to get out there and play or ride a bike, then why not?
Mm-hmm. Let me ask another question.
Mm-hmm.
So as you talk about innocence, your innocence was you challenged whatever was there. So you had no thought of, don't do this because, right? So what's great about kids, just like they say, old kids and young people, old kids and old people tell the truth because they have nothing holding them back, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
it's everybody in between that holds everything back. So kids say what they want to, right? They don't have no definition of, okay, not supposed to say that. It's we create those walls. What I'm trying to dig a little deeper on is as a child, like we're talking about fear and lack, or scarcity in this case, too. What were you told as a young kid that made it difficult for you to take financial risk?
Say that again. If
What was told
uh-huh.
that you probably can't remember because it's deep down inside, it's probably something
Right.
you've thought about, that was told not to take financial risk. Okay, this can be something that's considered. You got to work hard for your money. The
Mm-hmm.
only way you're gonna be something in life is you got to work hard for it. The only way you can accomplish things cost too much money. Put that down, put it back, it costs too much money. I can't buy that, we got to pay rent.
Mm-hmm.
What money stories were you told at a very young age from your parents?
Exactly that. We can't afford it.
What else?
If I wanted expensive shoes or a nice clothing, we can't afford it.
What else?
I can't really remember if I know. I don't know. I can't remember if it was actually put in my head or if I was told, but I know that just seeing, what my family had gone through, and my mom raising me as a single mom, how hard it was financially for both her and myself, and our other family members. I think looking at that in my mind is I'd want to change that as I got older, and that's why I think I worked harder because maybe I didn't want to experience that again.
But level of that is what you still experience because you haven't let it go yet.
It's still there, yes, because then now if I really think deep now, then it goes back to my childhood or what I've seen or what I was taught. So it's still there in the back of my mind. And that's what controls me a little bit or stops me from, let's say, doing something that I want to do and I feel that I can't.
Mm-hmm.
So it's what it is that what I think what you believe that if your mind says something, then it probably means something. Yeah. So if your mind is telling you something, that it probably means something to you. Maybe it's important.
When your consciousness is telling your mind, it's telling you something that's embedded deep inside your subconscious being, something you were told that you don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
You can't remember everything that happened in your life, right? No one can. I mean, some people can't remember what happened yesterday, let alone what happened the weekend, right? So, what has been taught in us as a very young child guides our path. I'll give you an example. My dad always tell me, son, anybody in life, you gotta work hard. You gotta work harder than another person. You gotta be always doing this. So the mindset, which I now know, is doing. So why it be more powerful for me to sit still, I have to do something, do something. If I'm sitting still, okay, you can't sit still, do something, do something, do something. So the idea of I should be doing something became what I started doing. So if I'm staying still, not doing anything, okay, not working hard enough.
It's how you give meaning to it, how you give meaning to your thoughts, and how you treat your mind.
And it goes deeper than that because that was embedded very early in life. See, if I didn't uncover that was embedded as far as the doing, like I can't
Mm-hmm.
sit still. I got to be doing something. Do okay. If you're sitting still, you're not working hard. You got to do. Right. So that was ingrained in me as a very young child. and that has got me nowhere. Don't get me wrong. You always need to put effort into things you want to accomplish. Okay, that's just the bottom line. You have to put effort in. But is effort just meaningless? I should be doing this. I should be doing that. I mean, how many times in life do we walk around with I should or if I or this? Okay, where did that come from? What are we telling ourselves? Is it a desire? Is it a fear? Is it a doubt? Is it a confidence issue? Those are the things you gotta got to unveil because you realize, wait a minute, that was a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe at one point that idea of I should be doing and working hard did serve a purpose for me. Don't get me wrong. But as time goes along, that purpose that has served you depletes and gets less fuel. But when we dig deep in our subconscious being, our mind, right? The conscious controls the mind controls the body. When we dig really, really deep, somehow in our life, we're taught that. It was embedded in us from a young child. It's like you talk about right now. Your parents said we don't have enough money for that. Single mom, so I can only imagine your mom's single mom. You can't afford this. Don't buy that. I gotta work hard. You got to do this. You got to do that. Don't spend. Don't break clothes. Or sorry, don't ruin your clothes because we can't buy any more. What about shoes? So you start telling yourself, I'm building this. I call it the money story landfill because every time you turn around, you step on something, blow up. Like if I step on something that challenges my belief, then I'm going to blow up. Not in the sense of blowing up, but in the sense that I'm not going to like the way it feels. So I'm going to avoid that instead of challenging it. See, a lot of people walk through life as I call it the avoidance syndrome. I'm going to avoid doing that because it makes me feel good. But then again, those avoidance will show up again. I'm going to avoid that because that doesn't make me feel good. Well, then they'll show up again because it's an ingrained belief system that we have in our minds that keeps showing up until we challenge that. Once you challenge it, you live much better. Because
Mm-hmm.
if we don't challenge those fears, those doubts, or those beliefs in our life, we will walk this earth forever. If you live to 100, if you live to 50, with that held in mind forever.
Well, it's also for others the thought of playing it safe. So your mind's telling you that it's safer to be this way or to be that way. So then you play it safe.
hmm And that's what you got to challenge that. Challenge what? Why are you playing it safe? What's in there that's making you safe? What's in there that's making you feel a certain way? Challenge those.
Hmm.
Because
Now,
when you challenge something, something else will reveal itself like, wow, what a great moment. I didn't realize that was happening. I didn't realize this was going on. Hmm. You start asking more questions. See, it's all about what it really boils down to here is transcending your consciousness to a different level or your conscious thoughts to a higher energy. Have you ever met someone in life, let's say Glory for you, that you meet them and they just have this aura about them that feels just so negative, and you just barely know the person, you just say, I don't want to be around that person.
of
We
course,
all have met somebody because they
many
don't
times.
resonate with our same energy levels. See, the more you relinquish our disbelief or uncover confidence issues, doubt, fear, especially guilt, and what they really mean, what they really are, and what they really mean, or how it's taught or told them, it allows your body to raise to different conscious levels from 0 to 1,000. And the higher you get, the more life becomes beautiful. The more you become less judgmental. The more you become of right or wrong do not exist, but just exist, just there. The more you become in line with the truth, not the true. Obviously, one is universal and one is true to us. That's become more in line with those, giving yourself more energy because we have more energy and free to think. It's like, let me give you an example, another one. Have you ever had a project and you're trying to figure out what's happening, trying to figure out how to finish the project? You step away for a couple of hours or a few minutes, come back, you figure it out.
Hmm.
Because when you're so focused on just trying to do, figure the project out or the solution, your thoughts are free from a solution. But when you take a step back, allowing the conscious to show up just as itself, it finds a solution to the answer.
Yeah. So if you just focus on the bright side of things, or look to an opportunity on how to make the most of whatever happens to you, then you can improve how you feel on a regular basis. Now, a question is, can we control our thoughts?
Yes.
Can. Okay, so we are aware of some of of the thinking that goes in our mind, right? And we can
Yes,
control only part of our conscious thoughts. But let's say the majority of our thinking goes on subconsciously,
correct.
right? So we can slip, we can accidentally, like accidental actions, right?
Mhm.
So how would you control that?
Well, if something that you unveil, like fear, it's probably been there for a very long time. Okay. So I'm using myself as an example. Fear of lack of having financial ability has been there for years. So what I've been told myself subconsciously for, let's say, 30 plus years, it's not going to go away overnight. It's not going to happen that way. But when I challenge that is what my fear is and how much thought I'm giving to it, I realize, wait a minute here. The thoughts I'm giving this fear are just thoughts I created. Okay. This morning I'm taking a shower. Now, obviously, shelter in place is lifted, and we're in different phases, whatever that hell that is, and where we're going with that. First thing comes to mind is, Ron, okay, so if you get clients at home, you get online clients, what about your current clients? That came up mine. And when I said
Hmm.
to myself, cancel that, that hasn't happened yet. Focus on the present.
Right.
So anytime those thoughts, my thought was, oh man, I'm getting stressed, not stressed, but like more or less what I'm going to do. Okay, if I take on more online clients, virtual clients, if I take on more in-person clients at my home gym, what about my current clients there? Okay, how's the gym going to look like? Who's going to show up? Like all these futuristic things that started happening. Futuristic means that shelter in place, we have no idea what phase we are in or what's going to happen. I canceled that. I said, you know what? Really, I learned from this book. I'm an infinite human being and I'm not subject to those thoughts. I cancel that. I said, I'm not subject to that. I don't know what's going to happen. So why focus my energy on something that I don't know what's going to happen? When that time comes, I have to make those decisions. The time will come present. I'll make the decision because now I have space in my mind and thought to be there. Thinking about something that has happened or going to happen creates no space for your current thought process. So
Okay.
when it just goes to regress back to your question. So when those fears come up and those things are challenged, my thoughts, my conscious thoughts are challenged, I gotta say cancel that. Cancel those thoughts
Hmm.
because you're infinite human being not subject to those thoughts. Those thoughts are only creating emotional responses. You can't control your thoughts. You can't control your emotional response. Only if you know you can control them. People, "Oh, I feel this way. I feel this way. You hear it all the time. I feel this way. You feel that way because you've created those thoughts in your mind, which now become a body experience as I'm feeling this way because you've created those thoughts. Thoughts come from feeling.
Right. So you and I have that awareness, right?
Hmm.
And there's, probably a lot of other people out there that has that type of awareness. Now, how would you now not everyone does, okay? So a lot of the times, and I'm guilty of this too, is when I start thinking something and something goes in my mind or in my head, I have all these thoughts, let's just say negative thoughts already.
Hmm.
And then that ends up I end up letting that control me and my feelings, and I react to it. How would we tell our listeners or advise our listeners, or how can they challenge themselves, as you say, challenge yourself? How can they, if let's say all those negative thoughts are already in their mind and they're already reacting to it, like you have that great awareness of, like, today you're taking a shower, you're thinking, okay, you have online training, but what about your other clients? Then you said, hold on, let's not think about that right now because we're not there yet. So you're immediately be able to change your mind and change your thoughts. But what about those that doesn't really have that yet and that type of awareness? How can we tell them or advise them to challenge themselves?
First thing first is you have to understand you have control of your thoughts. Okay. If you think you don't, then obviously you haven't had the first step. The first step is knowing I can control my thoughts. I create feeling behind my thoughts. So, okay, if you create feeling behind your thoughts, what is the feeling? The feeling can be let's say, let's use a hard one here. Some people walk around now, day right now today,
Mm-hmm.
with loss. Like my dad, on July 1st, been passed away 5 years. Some people walk around with loss of, a loved one passed away for the last 5 or 6 or 7 years. Okay, what's probably held in mind is a guilt. Guilt can be this: I didn't spend enough time with my dad. I'm just giving myself an example. I didn't get to know him more. I wish I had more time. I wish I was there. So you start creating these guilt thoughts because something has happened that you cannot change. The only way to transcend that consciousness is to say, cancel that. I'm not subject to those thoughts. It sounds really off the wall, but it really does work because automatically changing brain waves in your mind, like meditation. Meditation, you breathe for 3 or 4 times, all of a sudden you feel much better. So by saying cancel that, change the brain wave, wait a minute, I need to cancel those things. I'm not subject to those thoughts. I'm creating my feelings behind those. Plus,
Right.
plus out of guilt comes fear. Okay, those are together. So you may feel guilty about, let's say, my dad passed away, but what was the fear? Well, when I get that age, it may happen to me. When I get that time, it may happen to me. Again, you are creating the thoughts that you want to see. So everything in the world then shows up to you. So if you know you have the ability to change the way your thoughts are, you want to live a better life because everything you think about shows up to you in reality, creating or in line with what you already think. You know,
So
go ahead.
again, thoughts are thoughts. Thoughts are not facts.
Correct.
So it's how you give meaning to it and how you treat your mind.
Correct. And you got to realize those thoughts are what are inside you. What have you gave meaning to
Hmm.
that don't exist outside that? Plus, what you got to realize is that how to transcend something is to challenge that belief. All our thoughts come from belief systems that were designed from as a kid. The innocent kid still exists. So challenge with the feelings you have to challenge them. You have to ask questions. There are powerful questions, like we learn in life coaching. Powerful questions. Don't say I feel this way. I don't know. My mom was like this, or my dad was like this, or I learned this from my uncle or my auntie, or I read it online, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, you gave power to that. Just simply saying, "Oh, my parents like this." You're saying, "Okay, I had no choice but to be that way because of my parents." Okay, perfect example of this. How many people out there you've seen have short parents, and next thing you know, the kid they have is 6'9", really, really tall.
Hmm.
So do you
Hmm.
say, "Oh well, his parents are short, he's gonna be short"? Also, man, this guy's a giant. You think about that. So is that really real? Right. So those things that happen, you have to challenge those and say, I'm not subject to that.
Yeah, and sometimes we tend to create our own version of what we perceive to be reality. I guess it's part of it too.
Your thoughts create your own reality.
Yeah.
Just like walking, like the tallest in life coaching, it's like we create our own filters. How some people walk around with red, blue, pink filters, we create those filters. They don't exist. Once you remove those filters, you actually see all the wonderful things about the world.
So in actual fact, there is a reality out there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But you create the reality you want to see.
Hmm. Yep.
So that's the way to really do it. You got to dig deep inside yourself. Challenge those thoughts, challenge those fears, challenge those doubts, challenge those guilts, and say, what does it mean to me? Okay, if it means this, okay, what am I learning from this? What is it creating in my life? Because everything you think about creates itself in reality. It will show up. So if I have a guilt around someone passing away, it will show up. You're like, dang, every time I turn around, someone's passing away, or every time it's showing up because you haven't dealt with it. The way to live a better life is challenge everything that you see around you. You just have to challenge it.
So challenging
Transcend,
it.
transcend infinite possibilities.
And I was thinking challenging your thoughts, also challenging it is also taking a chance, taking chances.
Oh, of course. I mean, you got to challenge. You know what? All of us have a path that was built somehow. Path that we're on right now for me, was built in my mind. The only way to be successful is you have to work hard. The only way to be successful, you got to keep doing. The only way to be successful is you have to scrimp by, save, don't spend. That's the only way to be successful. Okay. But what is the definition of success? See, all that was taught by my dad. Not saying it's right or wrong, good or bad. I'm just expressing what was taught for me. But now I'm realizing, wait a minute, that was his form of success based upon his set of filters. So if I continue to align myself with that way of thinking, I will always have that way of thinking. I will not be in line with what success means to me. See, my dad grew up poor. So the way to be successful was to sacrifice, to save, to keep moving forward, and always be doing something positive. That
Hmm.
was our idea. And don't forget, be in line with spirituality. That's one thing he believed in. It's one thing I believe in. Spirituality and God is very important to me. But if I had stayed in line with what he taught me, not saying doesn't have no value, it does have some value. But what do I want in my life? What success means to me? What I value in my life? What things I want to see to show up in my life? So if I want to create certain thoughts, I have to think those because they will show up in my life. If any thought is negative, it will show up negative. Best way to take that is you always see these people hit, 10, 15, 20, 50, 60, 70, 100 million, $300 million, whatever it is in lotto. Why in a couple of years they're broke? They are. A couple of years later, they're broke because now they come from a place of lack. So usually people that win the lotto you never hear a billionaire win the lotto. Okay. You never hear about that. It's usually someone that's, comes from a poor scenario, right? So now they have the ability to take care of all of the desires. The desire of the new car, the house, the money, the luxury, the fame, the fortune, whatever. The desire of that. And desire is a lower energy level. There's nothing ever comes good out of desire. Tell me one. There's nothing ever comes good out of that. Even the Bible talks about that. But that's why the broke. All that comes from desire. Now, how many people that have won that money and have donated all of it? Donate all of it. You see how the difference there? The
Yeah.
desire creates a lack creates spend, 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 give my wants. But if they donate all that money, I guarantee they'll be much happier. Or not on all, if they donate a lot of it, but use the money to help propel their purpose in life. Because they're not in line, because desire creates not no alignment with purpose. If you're buying your desires, you're not in line with your purpose. But it creates that lack, that scarcity, that I need to, I want to, I must have, which are all just lower energy levels. Okay. When you start creating that, hey, I'm in line with my purpose, I'm going to help someone out first. Like if I won that money, I'm going to open myself a great foundation because I want to help people. Right. If I show success I have out of life coaching and the mindset I've changed, why can't I help somebody else? See, if I use that money out of love, help somebody else out, I guarantee I won't go broke. It's almost guaranteed.
So would you say if we let a thought be nothing, then that's what it will be? Nothing?
Correct. Remember, you give meaning to your thoughts or your words.
Hmm. So basically, what makes a thought feel real is attention we bring to it.
Correct. But more universal, the thoughts we hold in mind are thoughts we hold in mind project to the world, to the universe, so they will continue to show up and in line with what we're already thinking.
Right.
Okay. I gave one last example. When I'm in my full time career, they were always champion. I would say champion this because it now makes no sense, but they're champion. Economy's bad. I mean, it's 2015, 2017. Economy's bad. Economy's bad. So what it did, it created fear with me that if I take a risk, quit my job, economy's bad, I'm not gonna have a job. So it stifled me from taking the risk or really propelling forward in what I wanted for my future. Maybe 2 years, 3 years behind quitting like I did in 2017. So if I really challenge those fear thoughts they were giving us, I would thus still be there. But I challenged it at one point in my life and became much more better. When I quit my job, the week I was going to quit, not sorry, the week I turned my notice in, I gave him a 3 week notice. First thing my boss says, "Why are you quitting?" I gave him this spiel why I was quitting. He then says, "Economy's bad." If this was a dad talking to his son, I would say, "Don't take that." If it was my little dad talking to me about taking risk, son, go out there and figure it out. Do it. See how it showed up already? Because I was already scared of taking the risk. I was already scared that I wouldn't have any money. I was
Hmm.
scared that I wouldn't be able to survive. So guess what? I projected on the world and it showed up. It showed up verbally to me as my ex-manager saying, "Don't quit." Okay. So exactly what was happening, it was projecting, showing up to me, validating what I already felt. So let's work backwards. If you don't want something to show up and project onto the world, challenge your thoughts. Look at your belief system. Look at where you come from. Look what's happening. Question it. Or challenge it. Say, "Hey, I don't think that's true. Let me do this." Because it's different between truth with a TH and true with an E. One is universal and one's true to you. Right? So if I believe my boss as far as telling me that don't quit, comedy's bad, that's true to him, but not true to me. The truth is universal, meaning that since I challenged what he believed is true, I was able to transcend my fear into what I want to be reality because I challenged that truth to him, not truth for myself. I know this is probably mind blowing topic. It's probably one of those things that people really don't think about, but it is really true. There's a lot of research out there about consciousness, subconsciousness, healing, because healing really comes within. It really starts with you. And we've heard that all the time. It's really that our conscious creates our thoughts. People always say, "Oh, it's the mind, it's the mind, it's the mind, it's the mind." No different than a dentist experience example I gave you, that it's not the dentist, it's the fear of going to dentist because the fear is pain. So we create that fear because the fear is pain, right? But we all
Hmm.
know certain dentists are better than others. That's just reality, right? So, but how we create with the meaning to it would be the best thing. So definitely, guys out there, this is a topic we all should challenge ourselves with because we all are more powerful and we all have choices. We all can mean something. We all have the ability to live within our purpose. We all have the ability to achieve our dreams. We all have the ability to be creative. So again, this is Ron Johnson, life coach, motivational speaker. I think I have a group now on Facebook called Ron Johnson, the Mindset Coach, because I'm really about the mind. Because I believe Arnold said it in one of his bodybuilding things. Those that like Arnold Schwarzenegger, he says it's the mind that creates the body. But now I realize it's consciousness that creates the mind. The mind then controls the body. So if I control my subconscious thoughts, I create a better mind, thus creating a better body. So you guys can find me out there, Ron Johnson Life Coach on Instagram, Facebook, and join my group, Ron Johnson Mindset Coach, because we are still alive, we still have a purpose, and we can live within that now.
Right. And just keep in mind that we don't choose the thoughts and feelings that appear before us. They simply appear to our awareness and then they disappear. So your mind is going to do what it wants to do. You don't have control over the thoughts that pops in your head. But the important thing is not what your thoughts or what thoughts you have, but it's the meaning you give to it and what you do when you have those thoughts. Just don't give it attention. Again, this is Gloria, your life coach. You can find me on Instagram, Gloria Life Coach, or you can check out my website at www.glorialifecoaching.com for more information. And again, thank you for listening to another episode of Life's a Shuffle.